So today we're going to pick up our conversation on proportional relationships. I'm going to ask that when we go into breakout rooms that you look along in here so you can still see what we're talking about even when you're in breakout rooms. So here in a minute, I'm going to put us into breakout rooms to talk about this situation. So if everyone can please write down D equals 2C as probably the first thing on your notes. If you haven't put a header on your notes yet, head it with identify and interpret the CP, which remember that is the constant of proportionality. Guys, if you remember what that is, you don't have to write it out. So if you want to write out constant of proportionality, you can. You don't have to. So identify and interpret the constant of proportionality. I'm going to try to zoom a little bit more in on this. And then D equals 2C. Now remember, anytime we see a number right against a variable, what is that? Who can tell me what operation holds a number and a variable together right against each other?
An exponent?
Ooh, not, well, they could, but not in this case.
Multiplication?
Multiplication, right? So we're really multiplying those two values, so D times C. And guys, if we want to write this out in a way that makes even more sense, D equals 2C is telling us the dollars that we will spend is equal to 2 times the number of cupcakes, right? So they tell us in the situation. So I want you guys to set up a table and fill in like 1 cupcake, 2 cupcakes, 3 cupcakes. Now I'm getting hungry. All the way up to half a dozen cupcakes. I want you to, in your breakout rooms, agree what values go on the right side of the table where the D is. And then maybe discuss with each other what are some things that we see from proportional quantities. Because they tell us this is proportional. D equals 2C is a proportional relationship. We'll answer which multiple choice here is correct, but kind of just want you guys to talk about what do we see about the table. Yeah, I'm only going to give you like 2, maybe 3 minutes. And if I pop into your breakout room, just keep talking. Like when you all get quiet, that's the opposite of what you want to do, because then I'll just start asking you questions. So chat with each other. What goes on the right side of the table? What sort of qualities do we see from proportional relationships as we dive back into things here? All right, let's try that.
Yeah, so I don't know about that. Hello, Mr. Hudson. This is a question that everyone got.
Keep talking, unless you want like to ask me anything.
No, we were wondering because I don't know about Maggie and Gwen, but Clark and I had basically the same questions and the same work on Khan Academy 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we're having it again, and so I was really confused if, like, there was something wrong with Khan Academy, or, like, if you were doing that on purpose just so that we could review.
It shouldn't be the exact same, but let me go check the things that I've assigned. Talk about the problem that we were talking about before you got... Do you mean this that we're doing in class right now, or just the practice stuff you've done in Khan is literally, like, repeating itself?
The practice stuff and this question.
Yeah, I pulled this from our work. You talking about the new stuff that I assigned due next week?
Mm-hmm.
I might have accidentally assigned the same thing twice. I don't think so. Compare, identify, maybe.
See, at least one of the same things, identify proportional relationships.
Yeah, I do see that that's on there probably twice. But I think everything else should be new.
Okay.
Alright, I think I'm going to go delete that then.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think I accidentally assigned that twice. You know, I'm going to leave it, because it's good for us to go back and practice it. Because I think a lot of us forgot things, and when we took that little exit slip right before break, I saw some concerning answers. So I'm actually not going to delete it. I'll talk about the fact that it's a repeat assignment. But yeah, people should do it again because we took 2 weeks off. We're probably a bit rusty.
Okay.
But let's all go back into...
Okay.
This is the awkward wait because it goes breakout rooms. 60 seconds. Throw in chat. You can either put it to me privately or to everyone. What you think are some properties of proportional relationships, which then result in proportional quantities. But what do you think happens with proportional relationships? Throw it in the chat either to everyone or just to me. And then we're going to fill in some notes based off that. Now, already, I actually see something dangerous here. This question is immediately a trap door. So I've had 2 answers come into me, and they disagree with each other. One person says a cupcake is 50 cents, and another person says a cupcake is $2. So guys, let's look at this, and I will tell you, a lot of you probably fell into the trap door. When we look at D equals 2C, D is the dollars, right? The dollars is equal to 2 times C. What your brain wants to accidentally think is, I can get 2 cupcakes for $1. That's what this kind of looks like it says, but that's not what it says. This says the amount of dollars will be 2 times the amount of cupcakes. So if cupcakes is 1, my D is 2 times 1, or 2. If my C value is 2 now, my D is 2 times 2, and it's 4. So guys, be really careful and check what you have written down from when you guys went into your breakout rooms. The right side of the table, when C is 1, your dollar amount, the amount that you have to spend, is $2. These are fancy cupcakes. So, in the chat, or you can unmute and just tell me, how much would 6 cupcakes cost? If it's 2... Yeah, $12. So let's fill in the rest of this table. So, some traits of proportional quantities. First off, if we want to remember, back to what we talked about before break, 0, 0. Right? When the one value is 0, the other value is 0. So here what that means is 0 cupcakes costs how much? What's it cost to get 0 cupcakes?
$0.
Nothing, right? 0 cupcakes is $0. So if we wanted to add to the table, there is a 0, 0 relationship here. 0 cupcakes is $0. Proportional quantities or proportional relationships also have a constant of proportionality, right? Which here is $2 per cupcake. That is our constant of proportionality here. And the other really critical, I would even put like a star next to this, is what we do to one value, we have to do to the other. So if I double on the left side, I have to double on the right side. If I triple on the left side, I have to triple on the right side. So if we multiply or divide, we have to do it to both values. And then we should put some examples on our table. So 2 times 2 is 4, right? If we double, so I'm going to put this out here, times 4, this doubles. If we triple, the amount we get, we triple the amount we have to pay. Sorry, this should be times 2, what I wrote in green. Was anyone going to catch me on that? So this is really critical that we have this written down. I'm going to try to get my focus to come back. There we go. If we multiply or divide on the left side or to one of the values, we have to do it to the other one. And anytime we have proportional quantities, or really any relationship like this, we can just plug in values. So all we did to get this table was plug in values for C. All right, so go ahead and look at this slide, and then I'm going to put us back into breakout rooms. Go ahead and look at this slide and chat with each other about it. When the table is given to you, and this is a proportional relationship, what do you think this is telling us? All right, the breakout rooms might be slightly different this time because some people have dropped out of the call and then came back. But here we go. Let's try this. We should have Schoology open so we can still see the slides even when you go into breakout rooms. Megan, I'm glad you're here now. Are you able to turn your camera on, possibly?
It's on.
Oh, it's just something's messed up with it?
Yeah.
Okay, what class started 20 minutes ago. Were you confused or forgot what day it was, or what happened?
I thought class was at 1 o'clock.
Do you still have a copy of your schedule? Make sure that you check that, right? I even have to check my schedule every day. So we're talking about proportional relationships, kind of like what we were talking about before break. I'm recording class so you can go back and watch it. So after class, if I forget, like it takes some time to upload, but if I forget to send it to you, just email me and ask me to send it to you. And actually, I'm going to pause the rooms. If I forget to send you the video, just email me and ask for it. Since we missed some parts of it, guys, for everybody, for anybody, if you miss any part of class or like you get booted off the Zoom or whatever, the video from class is always going to end up on my Schoology. I don't always record every Math 7 class because I do it 3 different times, but you can email me and ask me for like the class video for whatever you missed. So would anybody like to volunteer to talk about what your group said for this situation? Harish?
So we were talking about how each hour he worked, each 1 hour of the audiobook, he worked for 6.5 hours of researching and editing and recording.
Yeah. So then, one thing I was hoping you guys would notice is on the left side, if we like multiply by 7 or multiply by 10, right? This is a little bit easier to see when we multiply by 10. Then the right side of the table, also multiplies by 7 or multiplies by 10. Like the left side and the right side of the table are always going to do things together when it's a proportional relationship. So that's one of those things that we just wrote down. And if you didn't, you probably want to, is that one of the things proportional quantities do is we multiply or divide to both. So here is another new kind of like different situation. So we're taking a little shift. So please write down this equation, E equals 10 times H. And then we want to write it down in another way to help us make more sense of it. What is E? What does E represent here? And I might need to move my screen a little bit.
Her earnings.
Earnings, right? So that E is really like the dollar amount. What is H here?
The hours that she's working.
So I'm going to put in parentheses hours. I want you guys, and you're going to be in your breakout room quicker this time. You won't have as long to chat, to talk about what is the 10? What does that tell us? And then how would we answer both of these questions? I forgot to say when we started going into breakout rooms, guys, if you get done with talking about the question that I asked you to talk about, move on to the next one. Somebody should have their slides open, and I'm going to change the screen share settings so anybody can start screen sharing. And I hope it works in breakout rooms. But
screen sharing does work in breakout.
Okay, have you guys been able to do it?
Yeah, we did it in social studies.
All right, sweet. When you leave, I'm going to try it. Like, I'm going to check my settings. But go into your break rooms and chat about what does the 10 mean here, and try to answer both those questions, and then move on to the next one if you have time. What do you guys think the 10 means here? So then you should be able to try and answer the second question. You can like make a table in your notes if you want. Just take a minute to chat with each other. I'm going to pop into a different room. I can't tell if you're all frozen or just no one's talking. All right, you guys are breaking my heart. Because when I put you into breakout rooms, the hope is that you like chat with each other. There's no like assignment that has to be completed while you're in there or whatever. I just want you talking about the math. So as I hop around to the breakout rooms and everyone I enter, everyone is just silently staring at the screen. It's like heartbreaking for me, and it's like, well, what's even the point? But hoping that there's at least a group that talked about this. Who wants to tell me what you talked about? We'll let Charlie have one, but then guys, I need people that aren't Harish and Charlie participating occasionally. So Charlie, what'd your group talk about here?
So at first we were like kind of confused about what the hours were. And then we came up with, because the 10 and H are automatically together, and then there was an equal sign next to the E. Basically, you would have to multiply how many hours she worked by 10 to get her earnings.
So if she works 0 hours, oh, well, anything times 0 is 0. So there's that 0 point. But you said, and thank you for saying that, because the thing we forgot to say up here, guys, is the table always shows you the constant of proportionality going across the table, right? Where the one value up here was times 2 of the other value. So in this case, what Charlie just told us is the right value, the earnings, is going to be 10 times more than the amount worked. Now, notice that I put hours on the left side and earning on the right, because hours is our independent variable. We talked about this a little bit before break, but independent because the earnings is dependent. What you earn depends earnings is dependent on hours. So please write that down so it makes sense when we talk about it in the future, what independent means. I can choose how long I go work, depending on the job. But like, if I can choose how long I go work, then I just multiply that number by 10 to figure out how much I earn. So I want you to fill in your table for the earnings for if you work for 5 hours or 10 hours, or what about a 40-hour work week?
$400.
On your table, in your notes, or in a month, you should work approximately 160 hours. Fill in all these values. Then we'll take answers as a class. All right, for 5 hours, we would make?
50. Dude,
For 10 hours, we would make?
100.
For 40 hours, we would make?
400.
Until we pay taxes, right? For 160 hours, we would make?
1,600.
Yeah, $1,600. Now, wait a minute. For $1, we would... Wait. Yeah. What if we want to make
20 minutes.
So here, check it.
10 minutes.
What happens on one side of the table happens on the other side. Guys, please, I hope you're writing this down with me. I'm trying to do this with a problem where the math is a bit easier. So if we want to go to 1 hour, well, I could either plug in one for my, or sorry, not 1 hour, $1, right? This is $1. I could either plug in one up here in my dollar space, or I can look at my table and say, well, how do I go from 10 to 1? Well, that would be division by 10. So we do the same thing on this side, and we get that it will actually be 1/10 of an hour. And the cool thing that we're going to start to see is these values. How does this and this compare? How does 10 and 1/10 compare? That is 6 minutes. You are correct. Those are reciprocals, right? So when it asks you the 1 hour versus the $1, right? Those are the two questions it asks you. It says 1 hour, then it asks you $1. Those values are reciprocals of each other. And actually, those reciprocals are both unit rates. And remember, the unit rate is per one of something. So that's why these are the two unit rates, is for $1, it's 1/10 of an hour. For 1 hour, it's $10. Both of these are actually unit rates. There are two unit rates in both in every situation. They're just reciprocals of each other. So this starts to really... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but
Where'd he go? Clark, where'd you go? Maybe he was saying sorry, he needed to leave. All right. So I want you to check out this situation. I'm going to put you back in your breakout rooms. Try to answer both of these questions, but be careful. The numbers they give you aren't like nice and clean. They don't give you the equation here. They just give you two numbers that relate to each other. We need to try to answer how many kilometers can we drive per 1 liter, and how many liters does it take to drive for 1 kilometer. So before we go to breakout rooms, let's write down it takes 6 liters for 48 kilometers. 6 liters for 48 kilometers. We want to figure out both unit rates. We want how far we can go on 1 liter of gas, and how many liters does it take to go just 1 kilometer. So pop into your breakout rooms. You won't have a ton of time, probably just like 2 minutes here. Clark, everything okay?
Hello.
hi.
What you guys doing here?
We already finished.
So you figured out both values?
Yeah.
What are your answers then?
What I got was, so she can drive 8 kilometers per liter, and it takes 1/3 of a liter to drive 1 kilometer.
1/3 doesn't seem right. I would go back and check that
Or no,
math.
not 1/3. Sorry.
I'll see you back in the main room in a minute. Make sure everyone here understands how you got your answers. What you doing, guys?
Well, we found out how many kilometers you can drive with 1 liter of gas.
Did you get the other value?
You can drive 8 kilometers with 1 liter of gas.
What about part B for 1 kilometer?
Oh.
Yeah. Discuss that for the last minute while I pull you guys back together, okay? Anyone notice anything interesting about those two different unit rates? There's... All right, so if we analyze just what the question's asking and don't try to build a table or overcomplicate it or anything, and I apparently am going to struggle to use paper clips today. How many kilometers per liter? Now, the thing I want to really remind you guys is what they're asking for is per 1 liter, which makes this a unit rate question. But to solve it, we can plug in whatever numbers we have. Yeah, Charlie, you're good. So per tells us to divide. And I think most groups, as I popped around, got 8 kilometers per liter. That is how far we could travel on 1 liter of gas, which is like a big soda bottle, not like a 2-liter bottle, or think of a 2 liter and then do half of that. But the weird thing is when we turn the question around, right? Look at part B up here on my screen or on your screen, wherever you got it pulled up. How many liters does it take to travel 1 kilometer? So this turns the problem around, but per still tells us to divide. So we're going to take liters and divide it by kilometers. And I just wrote the division stacked here. Like I did vertical division as opposed to writing out the horizontal division, because I wanted to get my answer as a fraction first and then convert it to a decimal. So we put the liters divided by kilometers. And guys, this is the trap door. This is where people are falling into a trap door on their practice work. But what you notice about the 2 unit rates is we're reciprocals of each other. If you turn around how you ask for the unit rate, we had kilometers per liter. Then we asked liters per kilometer. If you turn around the unit rate, you can just flip it. You can take the reciprocal, and that's your answer. Questions on comparing the 2 unit rates when it asks for per 1 of something. You know I'm going to ask you to do it on your own. Try this one. Find the 2 unit rates here. I want you to give me the first one in chat. How much do raisins cost per ounce? I want you to give me the first one in chat. What is the cost per 1 ounce of raisins here? So the first thing I would write down is the information they give us. 5 ounces for $4. A lot of you guys are falling in the trap door. Careful, careful, careful. Check your footing. Guys, when we're asking for dollars per ounce, the cost per ounce, per tells us the division, and it tells us the order to do it in. So cost per ounce is 4 divided by 5. Yeah, Kiki, there you go. So 4 divided by 5 comes out to be 0.8 or 80 cents per ounce. Be careful. The trapdoor you fell in is the other unit rate. So if you gave me the answer of $1.25, it's not $1.25. It's 1.25 ounces per $1. If you had $1 and wanted to buy raisins, I guess if you like raisins, if you got $1 and you buy $1 worth of raisins, that's 1.25 ounces. But if you just want to know the price per ounce, which is normally how things are going to be priced out, price per ounce or price per pound, this is 80 cents per 1 ounce. Questions here, especially those of you who fell in the trap door. Do we have questions here?
Can you repeat it again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. So the information they gave us was we can buy 5 ounces for $4. So then they ask us, what is the cost per ounce? Which, if we want to go ahead and fill in, there's actually a 1. They just don't say it. Because if we talk about like 1 Sophia, 1 Layla, like it sounds weird if you put a 1 in front of certain words. So cost per ounce means cost per 1 ounce. And the per tells us to divide. So whether I write out my division doing horizontal division, like we call it, or whether I do vertical division and like set up the fraction. Guys, we're using calculators now. So I'm perfectly fine with you pretty much always using calculators. So we set up our dollars on top, our ounces on bottom, do the division, and that actually comes out to be 0.8. So that's 80 cents per ounce. If we turn the question around, part B up here, how many ounces of raisins can be bought for $1? That turns around the order of the math that we need to do. We put the ounces first, the dollar second, and that answer is 1.25. But that's not dollars. That's the amount of ounces. That's the weight we can get for $1. Questions on that? All right, I'm marking my notes that that's how far 3A made it. Guys, here's the deal. I'm going to circle back to announcements so we can chat about that stuff really quick before you leave. Math lab this week, like my morning math time for the rest of the week, is going to be by appointment because I need to work on specific things with specific people. So please email me if you want to set up an appointment. I may ask you to come to AO or extensions instead of math lab. You need to get mastered by Friday, which are the grades that are in MAP, and then the practice work that was due yesterday, Sunday. I forget when I made that practice work due. That stuff's due. So I put the assignment in MAP, but I did not put your grades in yet because I wanted you guys to have one final warning to get that done because that is quarter 2 work. Okay? The new Khan Academy is quarter 3. The new stuff is quarter 3 work. That's why I made it due Tuesday so that there's no confusion. Tuesday is like for us quarter 3 really, right? Because it's right up against Discovery Day. I'm not assigning the Khan Academy videos, but if you're struggling, that should be your first thing, right? First thing to try is watch the video. I updated MAP yesterday. So if you did something yesterday evening, as far as like chapter 1 and chapter 2 masteries, I probably didn't get to grading it yet. Actually, I did some this morning. But if you did anything over break, I updated it. So if your grade is still progressing, you need to take care of that. If anybody has any questions specific for me, feel free to hang out. Otherwise, thank you guys very much. I cannot wait to see you in school next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.